What is up, everybody? CG and Drew back with another Brew Crew show for you today. We normally start the show out with a beverage, an adult beverage. So we just want to make sure that everybody who is here knows that this show is for adults only, 18 and plus to view. So we will get into it here. Please go ahead and go to both channels and like and subscribe. CG Ruthless and 49er Sports Talk, which is me. And we're going to hop into our beverage review. And we normally start out with CG. What are you drinking today, my friend?
Oh, yeah. I'm drinking a Voodoo Ranger Fruit Force, which is a fruit punch IPA. So I believe you recommended me to try that one. So I'm going to take your word on it. It's a little fizz, but
I've had some of the Voodoo brands, but I don't think I specifically have had that Fruit Force yet. So I'm not really sure.
Okay. Well, I just thought one of the suggestions was one of the recommendation. You told me one of those, but I seen it around that in the liquor store. Not bad. I like it. It's pretty strong. It's got a 9.5 alcohol volume, but it tastes pretty good.
Nice. Yeah. I am, by recommendation, going to try this one. It's hard Mountain Dew. I live in Tennessee. Doesn't mean I drink Mountain Dew, but this was recommended. A friend of mine said it was good. It's only 5%. I don't know if anybody else has had this. But yeah, I'm going to just pop the top and see what happens. And hopefully it doesn't make my heart start racing like a lab rat.
Oh, man. Like, I'm not too big on Mountain Dew, but they do have some alcohol, and they even have the Monster, too, which is weird.
It's zero sugar, so it's probably going to have that artificial sweetener taste to it. Yeah, it kind of does. It tastes like Mountain Dew, though. With a little
I'm pretty sure it does, because it wouldn't be just like that, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty decent. I'm not too big on Mountain Dew, but I might have to try it. So,
yeah, they kill that stuff out here in Tennessee. Not big Mountain Dew fans out in Tennessee. That whole Mountain Dew mouth thing is real. All right. So we are going to talk about a few things today. We're going to start out with Brock Purdy overreactions, because I think there's a lot of them out there. Twitter is littered with it. TikTok is littered with it. Then we're going to kind of just go down topic by topic. We're going to talk about a little bit about the Saints game, just quick review there, and then the Raiders game coming up. And then who's on the bubble, who makes it, and who gets cut. And then we'll get into a 49ers Q&A with you guys. So without further ado, what are your thoughts on this? I have my own. I'm going to let you start out with this. The Brock Purdy stuff is a little bit cuckoo, in my opinion, but I'll let you jump in.
It's mostly from casual fans that kind of been saying, oh, Brock didn't play so well in 3 series. Oh, you guys better watch out for Josh Dobbs. He might take his job, guys. Watch out. Like, really? Like, Eagle fans are that slow? Rams fans and other fan base, are they that slow on football IQ or something?
So, yeah, one of the big things with that whole thing was like, oh, well, Josh Dobbs played with the same players as Brock. Why could he do it? Well, the biggest piece of context there is the Saints pulled their ones. They pulled them out of the game when Josh Dobbs came in. So, come on, let's be honest. Let's be intellectually honest and talk about that this guy was throwing against future real estate agents of America. Like, he wasn't playing against guys who are going to be in the Pro Bowl next year. Let's get that straight. Yeah. And Brock wanted to play. He probably begged Kyle to play. He wanted to get some snap repetition with Brendel, I'm sure, and just get out there and be competitive and be out there with some of the younger guys. So, I mean, whatever. Like, you can't put a whole lot of stock in that. A, they're not game planning. And B, like, he was only out there for a bit. And he threw to some guys that were in the wrong spots. That Trent Taylor missed route. He miscalculated that. Brock threw it to the spot he was supposed to be at. I don't know if Trent got caught up or tangled up with the DB or what happened there, but it was obvious that he was throwing to a spot and the guy was supposed to be there, and he wasn't. He was yelling at guys. He was like, dude, come on, like, be in the right spot. Like, Brock was doing that whole Brady thing where he is yelling at guys for not doing their job. So that tells me all I need to know about that. You have a MVP finalist, the Super Bowl runner-up. He's not going to, like, come on. Like, people are nuts.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. Like, I even saw that there was some receivers, because I was checking out Balldigger's breakdown, and he showed the reason why Brock didn't have that quite good of a performance, because the guys weren't separated and the guys fell. Like, Trent Taylor just tripped, and then Calvin was tripping. And no offense to Braden Willis, man, but you gotta get on point with that. Even though we're Oklahoma bias, man, Braden had a little bit of an okay performance, but
Yeah,
gotta step it up a little bit.
One thing that they've been doing with Willis, which we've both said is probably a bad idea, is lining him up at fullback because he's just not that. And so, like on these run plays, when Willis is in there, he's getting knocked back, like clearly knocked back. And that's not a good recipe for the run game. But just back, kind of coming full circle with the Brock Purdy stuff. I think that people are just overly dramatic, and I think there's a lot of clickbait out there. They're going to say outrageous things that obviously are not true. Everybody knows that once week 1 comes, all the starters are going to be out there. Most of the guys returning from the Super Bowl, we might get Hufanga back, might get a lot of these guys back. So it's outrageous to me to think that people have the intellectual dishonesty to go there, because it's just like, oh, Dobbs is going to start week 1 against Rodgers. Come on, be real.
Well, I mean, I've been seeing this stuff from Twitter and other platforms, but mostly from I've seen it from these Eagle fans. That's just the one thing I kind of don't get. So I'm like saying, hey, so what does that make? Does that make Tanner McGee your starter too?
Yeah, more
and they go silent for a bit.
Yeah, but I have seen it from Niners content creators and some Niners fans, and I've seen it on TikTok, and there's some kid. It's like, looks like he's 12 years old, and he's like, he has like a ton of views, a ton of like followers and everything like that. And he goes off and he's like, Dobbs is going to be the starter week 1. The only way that happens if Brock gets hurt. Let's be real. Like, it's
And the fact that he got so many views, man, it must be those delusional fans. But hey, TikTok's the way to get people to fall for it, What is going on?
Oh, we dropped you for a second. Anyway, so I mean, that's really all I have to say about that. I mean, Kyle suggested that a lot of the starters will play against the Raiders on Friday night. For how long, he didn't really get too detailed into that. But it will be good to see Brock with Kittle, and Kittle's probably going to want to get out there. Kittle and Debo and a couple of those guys that he's used to throwing to in practice. He's doing it in practice. Like when he's running with the ones, he's gaining the chemistry with those guys, not the guys he played with last week. So
yeah, those are the guys like you were talking about that probably become real estates or agents or somewhere else. But yeah.
So let's move on past that because it's a non-topic. Should be a non-topic. Unfortunately, it is now. But let's get into just some of the review of the Saints game. I haven't really had a chance to talk about this. Who are some of the standouts and some of the people that kind of disappointed you?
The standout, man. I gotta say, standout Jacob Cowley, man. He showcased some big playability. The jet sweeps are exactly what we use on other receivers. Like, I think he would fill in for Debo if Debo were to miss some time because he would play the Ray McLeod role. I really like what I've seen from Jacob Cowley's debut so far. I said enough about Puny. I like what I've seen from Puny, but I'm just gonna go with Jacob Cowley for this week. So if we're talking defense, Tatum Bethune has shown that he can be a dependable tackler.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Renardo Green was another kind of like a highlight player. You could just already see he's just a dog. He's a competitor. He's going to compete on every single play. Like, the Seahawks used to preach that, especially with their defense backs, is compete, compete, compete. He doesn't need Pete Carroll to tell him that. It's ingrained in him. Like, this guy is a dog. He's got a lot of traits similar to Lenore in that sense. And I think he's going to find himself sooner than later and become a very good NFL player, starter. I see starter potential in that guy for sure. Drafted really high. Loved what I saw from Green. You mentioned Pooney. I think, his pass blocking is already almost elite. Like, this guy's not giving up any sacks. He's doing like things that 5-year, 6-year vets are doing. He's like moving off blocks to go help over here and shed off stuff that he knows is already secured, could feel the quarterback behind him moving and knows where the protection needs to be. And that's instinctual. You can't teach that kind of stuff. And he's got
the natural skill set that you can't teach. So he's like he's a dominant dog right there. So I mean, as far as like what you said about Ronaldo Green, the one thing I like about Ronaldo Green is that confidence, that dog mentality. Like Like you just said, with that Seattle type of culture, they have that mentality. But one thing about Ronaldo Green is he's not afraid of talking back with people, man, which I like.
Yeah,
you got to have confidence.
He's got that. Fred Warner does that every single game, almost every single play. And he's watching him as the leader, and he's like, oh, okay, I can do this too. I did it at Florida State. No problem. I got you guys. And so for me, that's fun. That's fun to see that. I love that, like almost like Deion Sanders type swagger. Obviously, he's not going to be Deion Sanders, but, coming from that school, there's just some kind of, you mentioned Bethune, that Florida State defense just has that confidence, that swagger. I think eventually Fisk and Verse over with the Rams are going to be that way. It takes longer for the defensive linemen. That Florida State defense was.
Oh yeah, they were the best in the country last year.
Yeah, they were good. So I love the Green pick. I love the Pooney pick. They're paying off so far. I think the other player I wanted to mention was Dobbs. I think Dobbs is Grand. Oh, I thought that was Grandizer for a second. Nope. Seahawks Eddie, what's up?
Yeah, Seahawks Eddie. That's one of my buddies. Yeah, what's going on?
So
Dobbs. Yeah.
Dobbs. I think that you mentioned him and everything like that, and I think that there are some things to be excited about. Like, so I don't blame people. People went off the deep end with he's going to be quarterback one, but there are some things to like about him. He processes the game very well, like Purdy. He has that escapability like Purdy. He has a very good arm. He knows where guys are going to be. So he has all these similar traits, and that's what you want in a backup quarterback.
And he's more mobile, so there's a difference.
He's more mobile. I think Brandon Allen's still going to be here in the quarterback room as the emergency quarterback, but I think the one skill set you could say Brandon Allen has over Dobbs is his arm strength. I think he has a
experience.
So, I think he came in for Burrow against the Texans 2020 or 2021, and he lit it up. He had like 400 yards passing. He had a few touchdowns, so he's capable. And that's what you want in an emergency quarterback situation. So I think Dobbs is going to be QB2. I think there's a lot to be excited there, but definitely not QB1. But I did like what I saw. How could you not? Like, he's, delivering it to Cowing. You mentioned Cowing. Just a lot to be excited there in general. And there's a lot to be excited with a lot of the backups, so far, I think. I think now we've kind of like talked about some of the players that we like seeing. What about some of the players that are kind of disappointing you? I have a handful in mind that are kind of like, I wish you would be doing more. But what about you?
Man, there's quite a few good ones. So if I had to start off on offense, it's kind of like a close call between Ronnie Bell and Braden Willis for some reason. I think Braden's going to make the roster, but I think he didn't capitalize a lot of the opportunities. He should have, if he would have just communicated with Brock, maybe he would have had a better performance. But I think he can get better the next game, hopefully. But Ronnie Bell, that guy's on the way out, man. He got to catch the ball.
It does seem like that with Ronnie. He got hit in the hands a couple times, and you got to catch that in the NFL, especially when you're playing against backups. And, he at times last year, like in the Giants game, he had that really nice touchdown. He's like streaky, but you can't be streaky in the NFL. You got to be consistent to be good. Yeah. And so I think the coaches will look at that streakiness and say, we need somebody to be more solid. Cowing was very solid. We still don't know what we have in Ricky. Everybody's calling him a bust too, and that's weird to me. Like, he hasn't taken one actual NFL snap, and he's a bust. He's glass. He's all these things. Okay, whatever. I'm not going there until there's actual evidence of some merit, some substance to that. I'm not going to even go there. Because why? Like, why do that? Why lay the tracks just to be wrong, potentially, or right? But it doesn't make sense at this point.
Well, according to the 49ers draft history, when we draft receivers in the later first round, they don't produce. You look at Rashawn Woods, you look at AJ Jenkins, Booker Pearsall is in the same conversation, but we don't that's what the bust label is. You know what I mean? I'm just making fun of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think every player has an individual skill set. They're that, and I think when I look at Ricky, I did this actually. What was it last week? Last week I took some similar routes. I took one from OBJ, Odell Beckham, and I took one from Ricky. Like, I'd put on a 9 route. I'd put on an 8 route, a 1 route, a 2 route, and I've kind of put them side by side. And those guys look very similar. And at LSU, I'm talking to LSU. I'm not talking about prime Odell with the Giants. I'm talking about just in college. If you line them up route for route, they look very similar. And I'm not saying that Pearsall is going to be that, but he has the potential to be that. So,
if he can be as close to OBJ, man, we got ourselves a stud for sure. I mean, I think the fact that he can block, because we've seen what he did in practice and all the other stuff, and he runs crisp routes and all that stuff. I think in college football, he only had 3 drops all season.
And there was some initial chemistry, right, in OTAs with Brock and him were kind of like on the same page, and it seemed like they knew. And also, I think his locker's right next to Brock Purdy's.
It's like they played forever, but they actually played against each other in high school, so there is that familiarity.
Yeah. So I think that's going to work itself out. I think it's going to be fine. I think that it's okay to question the durability because he has had the hamstring thing and the shoulder thing, but it's nothing that's been like, oh, he's going on IR. Unless they're trying to, they might try to redshirt him. I don't know. Maybe I don't know why they would though, because Kyle's very egotistical, and he's like, this guy is me, but 100% better athlete. Like, so that to me tells me he's sharp, right? Like, I think Kyle's talking about his mind. He's like, this guy's a very smart player, but he's more athletic than I was, and Kyle was a crappy receiver at Texas. So Kyle was not a great receiver. So, but he does know what it takes to be that. And I don't think Kyle's going to associate his name to this guy if he's not sure that he's going to work out.
Oh, yeah, look at Tommy. That was a funny comment. He's a good troll. He's funny.
Yeah, I'm not putting that one up on the screen, but it is funny. I appreciate you, Tommy.
hey, but they must be 18 and older to read it anyways.
Yeah, that's true. 18 plus crowd, but I'm not trying to get canceled.
Yeah, that's fair. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that Ricky, let's just see, right? Like, in my opinion, like, let's just wait it out, guys. Like, relax. Let's see what happens with Slick Rick when he can play. Right, they're going to work him into 4 wide receiver sets, I think, or maybe even get Jennings out and put him in on certain plays that are going to, I think he will start in the slot a little bit, but yeah. Anyway, let's get off Ricky. I don't even know how we got on that tangent. Back to like who didn't really kind of stand out, or who you hope to see more from against the Saints.
Who I really wanted to see more of, but didn't get a chance to show enough. Okay, so if we go on defense, it's really a tough one, but I think this one was kind of like if he played a little bit more, I like to see more of Jalen Graham. I think Jalen Graham had a really good preseason. Like, I think if he would have did a little bit more, I think he would have stood out. But if I'm going by the one who did terrible as far, like, I think as far as, like, I got to say majority of our offensive lineman was terrible besides Pooney. Like, there was just, like, McKivitz, bro.
Hubbard looked really bad. So that right tackle spot is kind of like iffy.
And McKivitz
who came in for Brendel after he went out? Was it March?
I think it was. Was it Zakel? Because I think Zakel was playing a little bit of center, but then I think it was Drake Nugent or something, right?
Yeah, potentially. I think also he's had a really bad preseason. Zakel. Like, I don't even know if he's gonna make it. Like, maybe as a practice squad guy, but like, I don't know. He's that's a good one to bring up because I don't think he was that. He hasn't really shown me much. Like, he doesn't film.
Yeah,
and
I mean, outside of Pooney, who stood out as the offensive line, I think Jared Kingston kind of proved a case. I think Kingston kind of impressed me a little bit.
Yeah, he held out decently, so I think he's gonna be all right. As a backup, that's all he's going to be this season.
The versatility, he kind of plays everywhere, so that's what you need.
Yeah. Running backs, for me, I know there's been kind of a mixed bag of reviews on this guy, and I was really hoping for more with him because he was the leading rusher in the SEC or leading yards guy in the SEC. And for me, like, Cody Schrader just isn't, I have not seen what I thought he was yet. And maybe it's a little unfair to like have high expectations because he is an undrafted rookie. But right now, as I see it, like, CMC is the one, Mitchell and whatever. Like, he's his health is bad and everything like that. But he's number 2 until he's not. Mason is probably going to leapfrog him. So, but those 3 are the solid 1, 2, 3, and then maybe you throw in. I've liked what I've seen from Matt Breida personally.
Yeah, but the question is, so the question is, are they going to actually stash in Guerrero on IR, or they're actually going to have him play for the regular season? That's the question, man.
Maybe you roll the dice and have him as running back 4, but they haven't got to see a whole lot. So like.
Exactly.
Lombardi was talking about practice today, and he had a nice pitch play that he just like shot a gap and like exploded out of it like a cannon. And that's what we have been talking about as far as like what we want to see from Guerrero. So I think that the potential's there, but do you hold up a roster spot for potential? Is he somebody that you can put on the practice squad and have nobody touch?
I think that's the scary part, man, because I think there's going to be a team that's really bad that needs a running back, like for example, Dallas, bro.
So then maybe you put Guerrero as the running back 4 and then Breida on the practice squad?
I think even with Breida, bro, he's a veteran and he knows our team, so he probably would prefer to stay with us more than another team, but maybe the opportunities present itself. But even with Breida, bro, like who's going to sign him? Like I don't see no other teams interested in him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there probably will be eventually, like injuries happen, so.
Cody Schrader would be a good practice squad candidate because I don't think anybody's going to sign him into the roster.
He hasn't, unless he like balls out in the Raiders game, which we're going to talk about here in a minute.
Yeah,
I can't see that's actually true. I don't know if anybody would pluck him and put them on their 53 from our practice squad.
I don't think so, man. Because what we saw in those 2 preseason games, it's not really convincing for us to say, "Oh, this guy should make our team."
Yeah, he's had a couple little like maybe 6-yard runs or something here and there, but like overall, and again, like we're making excuses for Brock Purdy in terms of like playing with not the starter. So maybe Cody Schrader, if he gets that nice home or scheming it up with Kyle's system, maybe he does look better, right? Like so. In all fairness, like he's not playing with the ones, so I don't know.
Maybe you get a different perspective when he plays with the ones, but I think it's just you want to see what he can do with the backups.
Yeah, and nobody's going to get carries over probably CMC and Mason when it comes down to it. So I think,
And I think we're taking the upside with Guerrero because we're thinking maybe he can return a kick or maybe be one of those big time gadget plays.
Yeah. Well, you and I were super high on Braden Willis, and I have to say that in terms of blocking, I've been very disappointed. But we also both, to our defense, has said he's not a great blocking tight end. He's a receiving tight end. He's more like a Ross Dwelly. He's a playmaker. So you don't.
He's a faster Ross Dwelly, yeah.
You don't put him in there at fullback. You don't put him in there as H-back. You don't put him in, I mean, you can put him in line, but don't expect him to, do what George Kittle does to like Aiden Hutchinson. He's not that player. So just know what you have in him and respect that, and maybe you get some Ross Dwelly type production out of him. And
yeah, but maybe a better production out of Ross Dwelly, yeah.
But I do think Eric Saubert's probably the tight end 2 now. I think I'm convinced Saubert is the tight end 2.
More of a blocking specialist, but he kind of showcased himself as a receiving tight end, so that might give him the edge right now. Campbell too, yeah. Maybe the production that he got was good, but he's kind of been suspect as a blocker. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, has Pline even played?
I don't even think he has, dude. I haven't seen his name call, or maybe in the 4th quarter, but he just hasn't got the opportunities to catch the ball.
Yeah, I think that's one to stash on the practice squad. He has no film. They're probably not putting him out there on purpose because they want to develop him. So they're just going to stash him, I think. If he even makes
that's the problem. It might be the smart move not to play him, so then teams won't have film on it and say, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I mean, right now the Niners have 12 wide receivers, so I think they're going to keep 6, probably one on the practice, or they'll probably keep 8, 2 on the practice squad, 6 total.
The interesting question is the number 6 receiver is probably going to be the most interesting one of them all because
even keep 6, because I think Bell. I was slotting Bell in as the 6th, but now Bell might not even make it, and maybe they put an extra running back,
or the fact that we signed Chosen, he might even just be the last guy on the 6th spot. I don't know, or Conley, one of the 2.
Oh, yeah, Lombardi today said that Brock had a bomb to Robbie Chosen. So that's so weird to me. I'm so used to saying Robbie Anderson, but like that's whatever. But
Hey,
yeah,
maybe he's the chosen. Maybe he's the chosen for the Super Bowl champion moment where we make
yeah,
the big dive
maybe
throw.
maybe he's our token guy, and the chosen will bring our next ring. But
Yeah,
yeah,
the
anyway,
chosen one.
Brock had a nice bomb, like a rainbow bomb to him, I guess, at practice. Obviously, I haven't seen it. I think there might be footage of it. I don't know, but
I'm gonna have to look
anyway,
into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
same here. When we get off, I'm gonna check into it and see if I can catch any of the highlights from practice today. But yeah, he mentioned that happened. He mentioned the thing about Correndo. So this is all just practice. I want to see. I think the Raiders are going to play some of their ones also. Like I think now the third game is kind of the rehearsal. Like get your feet wet before week 1 because we have probably 2 weeks to wait for. That sucks too.
I think. Yeah, I'm gonna get pretty excited for. Like I think I want to see what Garando could do in Pearsall. So we'll see what they could do if they're gonna go out there.
Yeah, this is a good segue to go in. Do you have anybody else before we move on in terms of who shined and who kind of left a little on the table?
Like I said, bro, we agreed on this part. I think Brennan left a little bit more, but I think he'll still make the roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair. I think that Saubert and then Willis they like Willis for some reason. They put him out there a lot. So I think that you're going to get Kittle, Saubert, and then Willis is going to be your third tight end.
I'm kind of concerned that maybe Latu's in danger, but I think he'll probably be the fourth tight end.
If we keep 4, I don't even know if we'll keep 4. Maybe Latu, you could stash him on the practice squad. Maybe somebody scoops him and you don't care anyway because you got Pline. But like Latu doesn't get separation. Like even though he caught those few balls, he's not separating from anybody.
Yeah, he's like Vance McDonald, if you think about it.
He's not separating, and his blocking is kind of meh. I don't think his blocking's not as bad as Willis has been. Willis's blocking, I thought he would be better by now, year 2, but his blocking is just leave some meat on the bone.
But I think once he starts getting more of a full offseason of working out again, maybe he'll get back on his strength more.
Stone Hands McDonald. Yeah, hands like
Stone Hands, man. I remember them days. I mean, Latu kind of, instead of Latu, they call him Drop 2.
Yeah, so for me, I think it's Saubert, tight end 2, Willis, tight end 3. Niners have shown that they kind of favor Willis. They like what they've seen in practice.
Wouldn't surprise me if he's number 2. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So, and we'll get more in depth when we get into the bubble players and stuff like that. We'll do that kind of briefly, just run through, cut this, that. But what are some things that you want to see next week or Friday night against the Las Vegas Raiders? I can't believe it's still so weird for me to say that. Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, it's not the same without Oakland, but let's put it this way. What I want to see is those starting receivers and those starting O-line hold up for Brock. I want to see Brock build some confidence, even though and I want to see what this hype on Isaac Garendo, man. All I see is this guy could make some big runs. He wasn't a starter in college. He only had one career start in college. And if this guy is worth the dice to roll as a running back, then by all means, we're all good with that. I like to see Pearsall. I want to see what he does, man. I keep hearing this Chris Browder and all this other stuff. So
we know what Jordan Mason, JP Mason, brings to the table, but we have not. He's looked good, better in pass blocking for sure, but we haven't seen him go against a defensive team's one. So I do want to see that. I want to see how Mason holds up against pressures and blitzes. The Raiders might throw some blitzes in there. I want to see how he picks that up with the ones. He's done really good against the twos, but how's he going to look with the ones? So I do want to see that. I want to see some chemistry I want to see Purdy get locked in with Kittle. I think that's important for this season. So I do want to see Kittle get a couple plays and get hyped up and charge everybody up. So I'd love to see that. In terms of, I don't think Bosa is going to play. Do you think Bosa is going to play? I think Floyd will play. I think Floyd will play.
Yeah, I think they're trying to see what happens, but I want to see that connection with Robbie Chosen. I want to see what this guy does. So I've been seeing, like you said, the practices are impressive.
I'd also like to see some chemistry between Brock and Debo. I want to see how Debo looks. If Debo can get in there, maybe Debo doesn't play either, but I'd like to see Debo get in for a series. Like get Debo in there, get him running a couple people over, get him out of the game, and save him for week 1. But everybody needs to get a tune-up, like a small little
Jennings too.
Jennings would be great. I think you let Cody Schrader and Grendo play the whole second half. Let those guys get some playing time. Maybe sprinkle in Breida here and there. I don't even think you need to play Breida, right?
I think you just cut him. I think you just cut him and put him in your practice squad.
Or we know what Breida brings, right? Like we're very familiar with Breida, so I don't think that you need to see much of him. But we do need to see more Cody Schrader. We do need to see more Grendo. So I don't even know. Do you know what's going on with Mitchell? Is he even?
I have no idea. I think he's kind of still recovering, or maybe they're trying to be wise with him. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about Elijah Mitchell outside of I think he's still injured.
If he's gone, more than likely he's injured.
Yeah, so
that's the sad part about him. It's like if we hear that he's not around, maybe he's injured.
Yeah, and then Burford, I think, has started practicing again today, or something like that. I heard something like that.
Well, if Burford comes back, maybe he's trying to fight. But I even at this point, him and Feliciano are behind the bubble, so I think it's Puny's job to lose.
Yeah, I would like to see Barch get in there at center a little bit.
Yeah, Barch. Yep.
I think we need to see some more of that guy since he's finally fully healed, and I think that he could bring some solid insurance at the center position. Yeah. So I want to see Barch in there. I want to see Nugent get in there and have maybe the whole second half just get that work in. And,
I want to see what Keaton can do at center, man, because I've heard he can play center too.
Yeah. And then the other thing, if we flip it to defense, I got to see D. Winters and Fred Warner. Maybe get Fred in there for a series and see D. Winters and Fred work together. And Campbell. Like, I want to see Fred and Campbell and D. Winters. I want to see what that dynamic's going to look like. I think Dre Greenlaw is going to be back sooner than we think he is.
Yeah.
He's out there hitting the sleds and doing all kinds of stuff that I didn't expect he'd be doing by now. So that's good. And Hufanga is not practicing at all, but Kyle said he could be greenlit for week 1. So
yeah, they're trying to play it safe with him. I think they want him to be back in game shape first. So that takes it takes at least 2 weeks to get into game shape the way it seems.
The one thing, so I've always been on the train that Hufanga is going to be ready for week 1 because they said they're going to ramp him up. But the fact that they yanked him from practice is a little bit concerning. I don't know how concerning, but
maybe they're trying to be wise with the situation, but if he doesn't play, that's smart on their part. Maybe you want to see what Malik Mustafa can do, or if they really want to play George Odom, which Odom's been okay.
I think Odom's going to be the starter if Hufanga can't go, just because he's got the veteran experience
and he's value. Yeah, he's got the value. Yeah, and then I actually did like what I've seen from Taylor Hawkins a little bit, so I think he's kind of raw.
Yeah, and Mahoney flashed a little bit on there. So I like Mahoney. That's kind of going to be the one there, right? Like I think either Hawkins or Mahoney is going to be cut. One of those two guys. So that's the battle of the welfare.
I like that. I like the one play that stood out to me was Luter, man. That one play on defense where he was deflected, man. He knocked the guy down and the ball just fell off. Good play, man. Good instincts by him.
I think we're going to disagree on this one here, but if you have to choose Womack over Luter or Luter over Womack, who do you choose?
Oh man, so you're putting me on the spot, but I just haven't seen enough to where the coaches they don't seem too confident with Womack, man. I think they really like Luter, so I gotta say Luter. From what I saw against the Saints, he kind of impressed me a little bit.
Yeah, well, so this is why I asked. He kind of blew a couple plays earlier, but then he kind of made up for it. And that's kind of what you want to see guys mentally. Like you want to see that snap back, like forget the last play, bounce back. So I think he did that. He showed that. But he did make a couple consecutive mistakes. And I think that's what they're worried with him, especially after the Super Bowl and his blunder on special teams, because that's primarily what these guys are going to be as special teamers. So I think his awareness lacks a little bit. And I think Womack has him a little bit on awareness. He has a little bit.
The coach said trust Womack. That's the question. Do they even trust Womack?
That's what's weird. I don't know why, because anytime the guy gets on the field, he's showing out. Like
I would say he's the better player for sure, but it seems the coaches like Luter more than him personally.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the coaches favor Luter because Luter coming out of college, he was slotted before the injury. He was slotted to be a first round pick. So I think that maybe the ceiling's higher, so they like the ceiling better there. But I think Womack is consistent. I think you can count on him to be consistent. He doesn't really make a whole lot of mistakes. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. If we're talking about bubble players, I think Ambry's I'm not even going to talk about it.
Yeah, Ambry's like toasted, man. He's toasted. He's out of here. I mean,
he's probably going to go play for the Rams or the Seahawks or Cardinals or somebody. He'll stay in the league, but he's not a starter.
Yeah, if we're talking about a guy who's likely going to be out of the roster, I mean, this guy went from he kind of went from maybe having a chance to make the team to like we're probably going to have to cut him now. So Ronnie Bell to me is like, I don't think it's going to be enough with Ronnie Bell because he didn't make the catches that were necessary, man. He kept dropping them. So I thought at first he had a chance to make the roster, but from those 2 preseason games, it's kind of like a little bit of a question mark for me. Like, dude, that 6th spot, man. And then Danny Gray, bro, come on. Like, you can't even get the catches.
I mean, he's finally healthy and he's still not.
He's not a fast pick.
Doing what we thought he could do when we drafted him. So yeah. I think Danny's done. I'm of the impression that this last preseason game is Bell's like last chance. Basically, I think Bell
maybe practice squad at this point, but even Bell then,
because who's going to be the receiver? I mean, Brandon Ayuk, if he doesn't, we said we aren't going to talk his name until he signed. But
well, like, sign the damn contract, Brandon.
If Ayuk is here week 1, if they get it done or whatever, Ayuk's going to play, Debo's going to play, Jennings is going to play, the big 3 are going to play. And then who do you have as your other 3 if you keep 3? You have Conley probably, right? I think Conley's probably a lock. Then you have who else after that? Cowing and Ricky?
Yeah, we got Cowan and Pearsall, but then you look at Chosen, he's the wild card. We just signed him, so maybe there's something there.
Oh, maybe they are actually trying to put Ricky on a red shirt year, and then they keep Chosen
with the experience, maybe. But I don't think Ricky's going to be red shirt, bro. I think they're trying to be cautious with him.
But you can't. There's no way that you can't stash either Cowing or Pearsall. That's impossible.
No. Pearsall's going to be playing unless he's on injured reserve for some reason. Then that's not going to.
You can't cut Cowing. You can't cut.
No, Cowing's good. He's good enough. Like what Cowing does so well is he does replace what Ray-Ray McCloud does actually, but a little more effective.
I honestly think you can't. There's no way you can cut Conley either.
Conley's got experience. He's viable. He's building trust with Brock. So
yeah, and he's playing Ayuk's spot right now. He's the X. So if Ayuk does get hurt because he's not in football shape,
and you got Conley.
Yeah. So I think you got to keep Conley, and I think everybody else is gone. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Chosen would probably be the one that might be the odd man to make it, maybe because maybe they wouldn't sign him for this reason. Maybe they like him.
Who else is a practice squad guy that you can stash that's not going to get stolen? Robbie Chosen get stolen. Tay Martin.
Oh, Tay Martin will be easy, bro, because I don't think anybody's seen enough film from this guy. Even from those previous preseason, I don't think there's a team that really sees Tay Martin that way.
Trent Taylor, I hate to keep him, but maybe he's a veteran wide receiver on the practice squad.
I think he would be because what does Trent Taylor do from throughout the years? If you're going to get this guy, you're going to only have him as a slot receiver or just a punt returner who doesn't return the kick spectacular, but he does the job enough. I think that he stays on our practice squad based by the experience and the fact he knows our offense, and maybe he wants to stay here. So then you got Matt Breida.
Do you think somebody would take Danny Gray? I don't.
Danny Gray is, dude. I'm going to go on a wild card on this one with Danny Gray. I think Danny Gray might go.
You're probably only going to keep 2. You're probably only going to keep 2.
Yeah, but I don't think Danny Gray goes on our practice squad, bro. I don't think so. This may sound crazy, but I think Kansas State's going to get him.
Do you think? Hold on. Do you think that if you're putting Danny Gray versus Tay Martin?
I think Tay Martin would be the one that we would have a better chance to keep. But I think Danny Gray has upside. Yeah, but Danny Gray has upside, and he wasn't getting a fair chance. So maybe in Kansas City, he might get used properly.
Yeah, but John Lynch also drafted Danny Gray pretty high. So does John Lynch's ego say, bye, Tay. We didn't invest anything in you, big play Tay that hasn't made a big play. And they keep Danny Gray instead. Maybe.
Well, Danny Gray would probably have to accept it, but I think he might take an offer to Kansas City with his boy Rashid Rice. Come on, Kansas City's trying to build some speed and give Mahomes those kind of
I don't
weapons.
want to see any Niners go to there though. Like maybe some of their players to us would be nice intel to have.
But I think that's the wild card, bro. I'm calling it as a bold take. But here's a bold take that might catch you by surprise. Hey, the Bucks just cut Randy Gregory. I think we're going to sign him because of the depth purposes, and plus we're having.
I would not hate that. I would not hate that at all.
And he's familiar with our defense, so it wouldn't be that difficult for him to catch up to.
Yeah, I like that idea. I don't know if they'll do it, but I like the idea. And then so there's going to be I think there's going to be kind of like a second wave of free agency when every team, because every team makes their cuts kind of at the same time, and it's going to be a lot of players being cut. So I think the Niners are going to scour that. And I don't even think necessarily that this roster that we see now or that we're talking about, all these players that are going to make the practice squad and all this kind of stuff, I think that there's going to be a lot of changes after that waiver wire clears, after those cuts. It's going to be a massive amount of players cut. And there's going to be a lot of teams that cut a lot of well-known, like household name players.
And we might be able to stash them into our roster. Like, I think there might be an edge rusher that can be nice on our depth piece, or maybe we just go pick up Randy Gregory. We'll see.
I mean, there's 32 teams, and I think they all got to get down to 53. There's 90 players. So they're cutting. Everybody's cut before their practice squads are built. They're cutting a mass amount of players, almost 40 players.
And there will be a player cut from a certain team that we'll pick up. For sure.
I'm not trying to bust out the calculator right now and do the math. 37 players times 32, but that's a lot of players. So I think there's going to be some options after everybody makes their cuts.
Yeah. Like, I think if we cut one of those other offensive linemen, there might be a good offensive lineman available that might be cut that we can use.
Yeah, I think there's going to be options. I think there's going to be some good players out there that teams just can't squeeze onto their 53.
But we're able to do that, but yeah.
And the Niners might go, well, we're a little weak here. We're a little weak there. Let's get stronger by signing this guy and bringing him on as a backup, as solid depth. So,
yeah,
I think that, I agree with Kenny. Guerrero and Cowing can fly. They're both super fast. I think you could even throw Pearsall in there at his 4.41 speed. So we're going to see. I
believe I can fly.
So do you want to let's open it up for Q&A. We can do that for about 15 minutes and then wrap it up. If anybody has any stuff, and we could just keep going on the fly if nobody has any questions. But I think the practice squad is going to be really interesting, and there are going to be guys that get cut from other teams that don't want to go to that practice squad of that team that could come to our practice squad. So
because it has an opportunity for them with the injuries. Yep.
Yeah, everybody that's building these 53-man rosters and projecting the practice squads, it's all up in the air.
Yeah, practice squad could be beneficial for some of those guys. So they rather go to a team that might need them down the road instead of a team that's not going to use them.
Yeah, and I haven't really seen anybody, maybe they've talked about it. I haven't seen any content creators or any beat reporters, anybody talking about that fact that there are going to be some good players on the waiver wire after that week of cuts, because everybody cuts on the same day.
Oh yeah, you can't keep it. You can't keep everybody, and I think we have some good linebackers, and one of the two are going to be gone, unfortunately.
Yeah, you have Bethune, you have Marcus Robinson, or is it Marcus Robinson?
Curtis Robinson, and we got Jalen Graham, bro. That's a pretty log jam right there. One of them's going to be gone, unfortunately.
Jalen made a lot of mistakes last week. He's really going to have a good game this week, or I think he's gone. I think D. Winters is a lock. I think.
Yeah, he's a lock, but I would rather keep Jalen Graham personally. I just think I would keep him over Flanagan Fells, actually.
Yeah.
The Flanagan Fells is just he's a little expensive than him, and plus you can put Graham on special teams.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big factor on defense, is like special teams. Also, you have to factor in tight end to that, I think, too, because on the receiving the kickoffs now, there's going to be special teams are going to be different. Like you have to factor in this kickoff now, so you have to have guys that are going to be able to block. You can't just go straight up linebackers. You have to have, like, Juice might be out there. Oh, Juice is probably going to be. They said Juice and Debo are going to be the returners week one. I don't like that.
I don't like that idea one bit. Yeah. Maybe just give it. Maybe give it to somebody like Elijah Mitchell or somebody.
Yeah, I don't even like Juice being out there for that. I think that like Saubert maybe or somebody like that needs to be out there. Or yeah, but I don't even like his blocking though. If Saubert's out there, you got a good lead blocker. You can maybe burst through a hole if you got a fast guy like Cowing or Garendo and shoot the gap and take it to the house.
But I think if you put Braden out there, he would have more experience on trying to get better at blocking a little bit. He has to get out there a little more.
Debo's got a really good top end speed, so I can see why they would lean that direction because he clocked out at like 21 miles per hour against the Eagles or something like that. So he can get up, but it takes him a bit to get up to that speed.
And yeah, but the problem is he's our main focus on our offense too, so we don't want to risk that factor. I mean, but
yeah, no, you don't want to put. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like that about it.
I mean, if he's healthy, I would lean towards Garendo because of the speed wise. Garendo has speed.
You and I have been talking about this since the OTAs. Like we love Garendo for that position. It's almost like
he's a big back. He's a big body guy. He's a big body guy. He could take the hits, and plus that can build him experience with returning the kicks because he can see the vision of the blocks and all that stuff.
And he's a former wide receiver, so he's got the hands. Like if somebody tries to arm tackle that dude, he's a bowling ball. He's built like Michael Turner or something like that. So he's going to shoot through there with his 4.3 speed and just, go to take it to the house. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. What's up, Terradome? What is up, man?
What's up, Terradome?
Yeah, he's good people, man. You got to get him on your show one of these days.
Yeah, for sure, man.
He's like one of them old school guys. He'll give you some good story. He'll tell you a lot of different stuff. This guy goes on for hours, bro. He's like somebody you can go on forever.
Oh, he's in your neck of the woods?
No. He's from North Carolina. But he's good people.
So he's actually closer to me than you then.
Yeah, Tennessee. More closer to you because you're Tennessee, man. You got the whiskeys, man. Come on.
What's Tommy saying? What's up, y'all? At Jim can't respond to everybody. They see you, Tommy. Keep that.
Tommy's a funny guy.
Yeah. Grind it out, buddy. Anyway, yeah. So I think that Garendo's a really good person there for that. If they do happen to keep Breida, I could see Breida being that because he's got the speed. But yeah, you kind of want to. It's a running back play basically, so you kind of want a running back there. But
running back or speedy receiver. Running back or speedy receiver would be your wise choice. Yep. Yeah,
and Juice has really good hands, but you really don't want to
take the chance out of it there.
So I think Saubert, somebody like that. You said Willis, but I like Saubert's blocking better.
But I think if Willis goes out there more, I would think he would work on improving that more.
Yeah, for sure. I think that that's all going to work itself out. I think that the mindset that they're going to put Debo and Juice back there is just like a prototype. Because once the season hits, people are going to have these weird kicks and putting English on it, and like it's not going to look like how it's looked in the preseason. It's going to look different. So anyway, I think that we have to maybe just go like 3 weeks with Debo and Juice, and then pull them and get some other guys acclimated and used to it, and just pull them out. Don't let them do it anymore, but let them do it for the first couple weeks, just so everybody can kind of see what it looks like.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that's the idea. Because, when I was playing, dude, I had some terrible blocking at first, but my coach always told me, hey, I need you to go on the kickoff and do some blocking. And if you work on that, you can get on the field.
Yeah, it's reps and ops, right? Like you got to have the ops and then get the reps, and then you get better. So, but it's hard.
But I think that's the approach. That's what I was talking about with Willis. I think that would help him a little more.
Yeah, we got old buddy Jim Everett's in here.
Oh man, him and Rudy are like the goats of this damn business. I'm just playing.
He stands for cool guy who invented the.
This guy, he's invited. He ain't bothering nobody. But he's talking about Jordan Whittington, who I actually liked in college from Texas. Texas had some good wide receivers. I ain't gonna lie. They had my boy Worthy from Fresno, and they had this Mitchell dude. And then Jordan Whittington was under the radar, who I actually had a good scouting report on. I thought this guy was like another Jennings type, but this guy could be good.
This is going to be an unpopular statement that old Chris Everett's not going to like here, but I think that Puka Nacua is going to take a step back this year. I think
on him.
There's film on him. He's not very fast, So I think they're going to look at tendencies and be able to scheme him up. So that's a little bit of a hot take.
He'll still be productive. But I don't think he's going to have the same perform of his rookie season now.
No. Sophomore slump coming for that guy, I think. I think Cooper Kupp will actually go back
to form. Yeah.
But I think that Puka's going to kind of take a step back there.
Yeah, so, I think the Winnington kid that I like from Texas, I think he might be pretty productive, but they're going to probably give the ball more to Tutu more than him, actually.
Yeah, and the problem with Tutu, he's just so small. He's going to get blown. Imagine Mustafa and him like going head up, like that's a wrap.
That would be ugly.
That's a wrap for old Tutu. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that does anybody have any questions? Like we want to kind of answer some questions that you guys might have in terms of what you want to see from the Raiders game, takeaways from the Saints game, anything Niners related. Obviously, we're not going to talk about the Rams. We're not going to talk about the Cardinals.
Nah, but we just threw some shades because Jim wanted that little attention. We give it to him.
Tommy's going off there, buddy. So yeah,
Terradome
talking smack. So
yeah. Oh, but this is funny. What Terradome says, CJ Stansford can't get with this BS. I'm just playing. He's kind of funny. Yeah.
I think there's some fun things that will happen in the Raiders game. I'm really happy to Presley Harvin.
Ooh, let's do a hot take on this one. This is kind of interesting because Harvin actually is kicking pretty damn good, bro. I don't know about
people within the 10. He's a big dude. So like, can he do kickoffs? Because I don't know if Mitch can do kickoffs.
So that might be the toughest one because I think somebody even said that it might even be jeopardizing now since Harvin's kind of been kicking pretty well.
Yeah, well, Lombardi said that Mitch was out there like doing sprints or like trying to get back because I think he knows his job might be in jeopardy. This Presley kid he puts
the kick where it needs to go too. So yeah.
And I thought that he was with Pittsburgh right before this. I think he was kind of streaky. Like he'd every now and again have like a shank, but I think he's cleaned it up. I think he looks a lot more comfortable in the NFL. Granted preseason, so can't put a whole lot of stock into that. They drafted Mitch. They didn't draft Presley. So there's some things kind of there. But if you ever have another injury with Mitch, if like Mitch starts doing kickoffs and he's a safety and he tries to light somebody up like he likes to do as a rugby player, you have a solid depth guy there with Presley. So I would not hate that at all. I think somebody else might pick him up.
Yeah. Punter. I think there's going to be a team that needs a punter, but I think this is going to be a tough one because if Wisnowski if he doesn't return, bro, I think Harvin might make a strong case. Even if he doesn't make the roster or not, I think there's going to be a team looking for a better punter.
Gina V and TJ at the game. Not sure what he means by that.
I don't know. I think he's talking about somebody that I'm familiar with. I think I've seen her on the game before, but yeah. Let's see. So I think we covered a lot of the basics, but if they got one more question or two, we can answer and then we'll end it from here.
He's got like a really good question here.
Let me see.
Trey Greenlaw will bring the heavy hitters together. Yeah, I think Dre is going to be back probably October, November, somewhere around there. McCaffrey tied the knot with his girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. Copo.
We've seen that, but let's see if Terradome got a couple questions or Bebop or Steve-O or Butterfly, or Tommy the fairy man. I'm just playing.
Has Grandizer been in here?
Dude, where is Grandizer, man? I'm kind of worried about the guy. He's always kind of popping in. We always see Daniel Berry. Daniel Berry's always the common guy, so he always comes around.
There we go. We talked about this a little bit. I don't know what CG's thoughts are, but me personally, I think it's Saubert tight end 2 and then Willis tight end 3.
Like you just said, maybe they might favor Willis to be number 2, but I think you're right. Saubert is probably the clear one because he's a blocking specialist and he kind of showcased himself as a better receiving tight end. So maybe you're on point. So I'm going to have to agree on you on this one, but it wouldn't surprise me if Braden would be the number 2 based by favoritism.
Yeah. And we talked about this also a little bit before you got in Terradome, but Ronnie Bell is definitely on borrowed time. I think those drops in this game against the Saints kind of
he's out.
Entered his chance. He's on the bubble, and the bubble's about to pop. I'll put it like that. So
Yeah.
I think that yeah, he's on borrowed time for sure. But I do think that there is a chance they could kind of like sneak him onto the practice squad or something like that if he shows a little bit more consistency in this upcoming Raiders game. He's going to get some playing time, so we'll see how that goes. I don't think it's like clear cut that he's cut, but I think he's definitely on the bubble.
Yeah, he could be on the way out. So wouldn't surprise me because it's just a logjam receiver. You know, you got Conley with the most experience. You got, I mean, they just signed Robbie Chosen, so I don't know if they want to cut Chosen for the hell of it, dude. Like, then they just got, I mean, I thought in the beginning maybe Trey Taylor was impressing in the first game, but not so much in the next game. So I don't know.
Well,
So I
from
think
the sounds of it, I think they favor Robbie Chosen. I mean, Robbie Chosen is like 2 or 3 seasons removed from a 1K season. So if that's your 6th guy, if that's even your 4th or 5th guy, I think you're happy with that. So I think, yeah, that's probably Bell's out is Robbie Chosen. If he
and then find a way to sneak up Conley to the practice squad would probably be what they will try to do.
Spencer Burford. I think that Dominic Pooney has played so well that it's going to be hard for you to justify putting Burford in at right guard to start the season, even though that he has been. I think, and Feliciano just went on IR today. He's going to come back, but he just had knee surgery, so I think he's going to be
knee irritation or something like that. So they're going to at least try to keep. I think that does keep Kingston around the roster now.
Yeah, and Pooney's pass blocking is so elite that you just can't ignore it. And even if he's average at run blocking,
he can work on it.
That pass blocking is already elite. You can see it, the way he moves, his instinct.
And he doesn't fade.
And so I think Pooney's I think they're gonna be forced to start him. Sometimes you're just forced to start rookies, like Jair Brown and some of these other guys. Like they're starting right away, and sometimes that just shows itself. I think it's showing itself.
Yeah, I think if we're looking at starters for the rookies, I think it's going to be Ronaldo Green and Dominic Pooney for the beginning of the season. But I think it wouldn't surprise me. Let me see. Danny Gray is like, hit
shot in right field, going in the ocean, splash it, going, gone.
Oh man, dude! But you know what the sad part is? If we cut Danny Gray, we better hope he don't go to Kansas City, man. Because I think Andy Reid will be cooking with this guy. Because Rashid Rice can put recommendation for him.
Yeah, so like Terradome, we also talked about this. I think that Tay Martin and Danny Gray are kind of going to be like the practice squad candidate guys. And I think that because John Lynch invested so much in Danny Gray, I don't think that KC will snatch him off our practice squad if he's on our practice squad. But then you're either Tay Martin or Danny Gray. I think those are the ones they're probably going to, I don't know, Bell maybe.
I
don't know.
But who says that Danny Gray is going to be on any other team's practice squad? The Chiefs can just add him to the active roster over Terriers Tony, who they're probably going to cut.
Yeah, definitely. Pooney is, I said this from the Senior Bowl before we even drafted him. I've been saying this. CG can vouch for me that this kid has all pro potential. Been saying that for a long time now. I think you
said, I think you talked about it for a while, and I think you were on point about the way he would play, but I think we saw him as a tackle coming out of college, but now him playing guard I think it's like a natural for him more than what I've seen from Burford's rookie season.
I still almost want Forrester just to see. Just put him out there and see. Like Jalen Moore has not been phenomenal at left tackle. If they can't come to a deal with Trent, which they will, I think they will. Hopefully not sooner than later because, the time's ticking a little bit. But I think that, Jalen Moore hasn't been consistent. I would just like to see Pooney over there. Yeah, he has short arms, but he can move. He can get in front of people. He has power. He's very good at pass blocking. 0 sacks at Kansas. I just want to see him over there. What's it going to hurt?
Yeah, and he was like their best run blocker and their pass blocker too in Kansas because that program wasn't really quite much. But he was a huge factor of why they were successful. Yeah, like even the running game was good because of the way he blocked. But I actually had a late second round grade on this kid, and I was surprised he slid a little further than I thought.
Yeah, I kind of had Christian Hayes and him kind of in the same boat. I think Christian Hayes went to Seattle.
Yeah, I think in the third round or something like that. But either way,
Seattle got a really good guard also. I think so. Kind of had those guys on the same level, but I think Pooney's pass blocking is already elite.
He's pro ready right now. Yeah.
So, Yeah, I don't think we have anything else, guys. We're at the hour mark. We appreciate everybody for being here. We're going to let CG take us out, and then we are going to end the show. We appreciate everybody for being here, and take us out.
Woo! Let's go, buddy!